If you're planning a trip to the Philippines to visit your team this year, or getting across there to scope out the opportunities for outsourcing or building a remote team for your business, here are 8 tips to help you get your trip off to a flying start. So whilst the COVID situation has all but gone away, you are still required to complete an e-travel pass. You can go on the website and do this. You have to do it within 48 hours before you travel, so you can't do it a week out. You can do it in the cab, you could do it at the airport. Personally, I like to do it the day before I travel. The application only takes a couple of minutes, you'll be approved in seconds, and then I take a snapshot of the pass that's provided, save that to my pics because you're going to need that later. I saw a bunch of people getting turned away this time around at the airport, and while the queue this time was only about 25 to 30 minutes in immigration, it can take an hour plus, so you don't want to get to the front of the queue only to be turned around to go and fill this out online, especially if you don't have any data. That's going to cause you all sorts of stress. Another thing to do if you haven't been to the Philippines before is to make sure you get on and download the Grab app. The Grab app is essentially the Uber application and can be used for hiring, booking cars, food, all sorts of services, deliveries and so on and so forth. Download the app, associate a card so you can get using that. When I went this time around, that's the application I used more than any other. Very handy, so make sure you've got that on your phone. If you're visiting your team for the first time, or you haven't been back for a while, it's always great to take a little treat to break the ice when you get there. If you haven't done this before you get to the airport, there's always a ton of things. Fridge magnets, key rings, chocolates, treats. Don't need to spend a fortune, but a great way to break the ice when you meet with your team. Whenever I travel to the Philippines, I always want to make sure I've got some cash in my pocket, small bills preferably. Whilst this isn't essential, it's always great to have. Most places accept card. You can tap your phone, tap your card. However, some still don't. 7-Eleven, some smaller restaurants and bars. So great to have a bit of cash in your pocket. Again, not essential, something you can organise later on when you're there. After a long flight, all you want to do is get through immigration, get your bag and get to your hotel. This is where the Grab app comes into play. Get through immigration, show your health pass, get onto the baggage carousel, and this is where I open up the app, choose the type of car you want to order. You have the option of Grab car or Grab taxi, put in your hotel. By the time you collect your bag and get out of the airport, your car should be ready for you there. Alternatively, you're going to be jumped on as you go through after you've got your bag by a bunch of people trying to sell you an overpriced ride, or you have to queue up for a public taxi, which is pretty reasonably priced. But the Grab app is the way to go. It's going to be far more convenient. It's pretty well documented that the traffic in Manila can be a bit crazy, especially around the airport, especially at rush hour. You can take a ton of time off of your trip from the airport to the hotel by making sure you tell your driver to take the Skyway. It costs around 30 pesos, and this is where it comes in handy to have a bit of cash, because while the driver can add it through the Grab app, they don't always want to. So give you 30 pesos is going to cut a ton of time off in getting to your airport. The trip from the airport to Makati should be around 400 pesos, sometimes less, which is around $7 and 11 Australian dollars. Depending on what time you get back to your hotel and you're checked in, you might have had a long trip, you may not want to leave again, but you might be hungry. You can order through your hotel, or alternatively, this is where you can open up the Grab app again and order pretty much everything around you in the surrounding areas. You can order everything from snacks, meals, coffees, even a cold beer. Great application, very fast, will be at your hotel in no time, and great if you really just want to stay inside and rest after a long trip. The last point on my list, and a question I get asked a lot, is should I tip? How much do I tip? Well, you don't have to tip, but it is a common practice. I tip anything from 20 pesos to 100 pesos, depending on the level of service. And again, it's not expected, but it's a nice thing to do. Through the Grab app, you can add tips there, but also you can add tips as you pay for your meal. If you're going out to a fancier restaurant, fine dining, again, I would probably use the 10% rule there when figuring out what to tip. Again, of course, depending on the quality of food and the level of service I've received. So there you go, 8 tips to get your trip off to a flying start, meaning you can spend more quality time and focused time with your team in the Philippines. Look out for more tips coming soon.